the internet, and welcome to season 384, episode 3 of DAILY ZEITGEIST, a production of iHeartRadio. That's right, I'm back.
Woo.
I'm back, baby. This is a podcast where we take a deep dive into America's shared consciousness. It is Wednesday, April 16th, 2025. That can't be right, Miles.
Yeah, it is.
Miles, it can't be right.
It is. I know you're experiencing a severe time dilation via jet lag, but it also is April 16th. Shout out all the banana lovers. It's your day, but the tariffs might fuck up the prices. National Banana Day. It's also National Bean Counter Day, because I think this is for all the CPAs out there. They get to relax, as it were, since tax day was yesterday. National Orchid Day. National Healthcare Decisions Day. National Wear Your Pajamas to Work Day. There it is, April 16th.
Fuck, man, I didn't know.
Eggs Benedict Day, too. If you like Eggs Benny.
Eggs Bennies?
Yeah, it's your day, too, baby.
That's the only Bennies I care about. I just want my job to give me Eggs Benedict.
And what about the Bennies? Oh, benefit. No.
No, Eggs Benedict.
Eggs Benedict.
Y'all got any Eggs Benedict?
I guess.
Anyways, my name is JackO'Brien, a.k.a. Mar. He's one shitty old white guy. That's a once bitten, twice shy great white, a.k.a. from Halcyon Salad. Great White. Miles, you ever listen to Great White? Do you remember them? They were probably a little before your time.
Didn't they have that concert where all those people died?
Yeah, that was kind of their main thing.
That's the only. I'm like, that's the concert. Those
you got on board hard after that.
Yeah, that was when I was like,
you're like, dude, now we're talking death metal.
That's fucking rock and roll right there.
What a tragedy.
But also the idea that it's only your age that determines whether you were a huge Great White fan or not.
Right.
The assumption being anyone over the age of a certain age is going to be all on board.
Yeah, exactly. If you were around, it doesn't matter if you had good taste or bad.
Everyone was a Great White fan.
I was both very temporarily into metal and also into sharks. And I didn't even fuck with Great White. That's how good they were. Anyways, Halcyon Salad on the Discord in reference to the news that just broke that Bill Maher sucks. I leave the country for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I come back and my hero, Bill Maher, says Donald
know.
Trump is his friend.
I know. Well, at least the tattoo you got of his face, it can kind of look more like Jigsaw from Saw. If you kind of a little bit, with just a little.
You're gonna turn it into a dog, into my dog. Isn't that what Sylvester Stallone did? He like, yeah.
Wait, what did Sylvester Stallone do?
I think Sylvester Stallone had had a tattoo of one of his exes turned into a dog, like his current dog.
Hell yeah, where my dog
got that dog in him. Anyways, thrilled to be joined as always by my co-host, Mr. Miles Gray.
Yeah, back in your rightful co-host seat. It's Miles Gray, aka Ain't No Lunchtime Dinuguan, only pancit on my plate. Ain't no lunchtime Dinuguan, and this rice is all alone. Guess I'll have Kare, some hello. Okay, shout out Salvador Jolly there. Look, yes, prop was on. We were talking about Filipino cuisine, and there it is, Salvador Jolly. Thank you for that. Wonderful,
a good one.
AKA, yes.
Yeah, you hit
fucking
those notes,
swish.
Miles. That was good.
Swish on performance, swish on the writing, execution.
Thank God, I'm trying to keep my job.
From the logo.
I'm trying to keep my job.
Strong work.
Fucking try.
That is in your quarterly performance review.
Yeah.
They put an Eggs Benedict in front of you and ask you to sing, and if you hit the high note, they slide it slightly closer. Yeah.
And I'm like, and what about money? No.
No.
Sing your Bill Withers
breakfast food
and eat your Benedict.
All you can eat buffets. Miles, we're thrilled to be joined in our third seat by a podcaster extraordinaire. French for extraordinary? That's not right. You know him from This Day and Esoteric Political History on Radiotopia. He's also hosted 30 for 30 on ESPN, the 538 Politics podcast, lead producer on The Puzzler. You know him, you love him, folks. It's Jody Avirgan!
Thank you very much. And you know what,
No.
Jack, I've made your life a little easier going forward. We changed the name of the show from This Day in Esoteric Political History to just This Day, because I was sick of, in part, saying the very long name over and over and
This
over.
Day.
The show is called This Day.
Hell yeah.
Simple enough.
Oh, let me tell you about
Which one? This one.
Exactly. Well, that's the question we try and answer. But anyway,
That's
it is a thrill to be back with the two of you.
Great to
Well, we're thrilled to have you, Jody. How have you been? Other than shortening the title of your podcast, is that mainly what you've been up to?
Yeah, it took a lot. We had to go letter by letter.
Pull
So
the trigger on it. Yeah.
We've been thinking about shortening the name of this one just to The Daily.
Yeah.
What do we think?
I like it.
Hey, it predates the other one.
That's true.
Barbaro.
Yeah.
Did it?
Don't you remember? We were like a year in, and then we were like, I guess the New York Times is trying to get in on the game. Yeah, we'll see how this goes.
Yeah. See how it goes for them.
How do the two of you answer the "How are you doing?" question? Do you have an elegant way to be like, aside from all of that stuff, here's an actual answer?
Because my house burned down in a fire, so I do that.
So you're just bad all around.
All things considered.
Who, me?
On NPR? Yeah. I'm doing okay.
All things considered on NPR, Terry Gross, my house burnt down.
I try not to all things considered a lot. I do the like asterisks.
Reference.
Given asterisk. I'm doing.
I've honestly I've just become more honest. I just go, honestly, not good.
Yeah.
And then, then people go, yeah, me too. I think more people end up being like, no, I feel that. Then when you're like, yeah, I'm fine. Shit's fucked. There we go. That's what I say.
I usually spell thriving out in all caps is how I answer that.
Yeah.
All right, Jody, we're thrilled to have you. We're going to get to know you a little bit better in a moment. First, we're going to tell the listeners a couple of the things we're talking about today. It's just going to be, catching up on what I missed. Sounds like JD Vance is bad at picking up football trophies. Object. Yeah. It not only does it look like he's never hoisted a trophy, it looks like he's never picked up a thing before
or interacted with human beings.
Human beings or physical objects.
He had it showed that he's kind of used to like gesturing at something for a servant to do it, and he's like, you might take that. Thank you.
And then obviously anytime he tries to work with the servant, he fucks it up catastrophically. All right, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the latest trend in masculinity, which is getting your eyelashes edged up.
Edged off.
You have really found some gems for today.
Yeah, exactly. We're on a roll.
Masculinity in crisis. JD Vance can't lift object. Man can't have eyelash or woman.
That's right.
Yeah.
We'll talk about the new trend from the world of AI art. Now, this is an exciting world. It's the art that I'm mostly excited about is AI art.
The Ghibli memes?
Yeah. I was here for Ghibli memes.
Oh, you were? Okay. And then you maybe saw the actual Ghibli stuff.
Yeah, I went, and then I promptly flew to Japan to just I was like, God, this is an exciting time for Japanese art. I better go over there.
To Japan to show them your Ghibli-fied photos. Dude, look at this. Yeah. Look at this. That's me. That's me,
though. For real. This one is turning yourself into a doll, into a toy. Pretty fun. Pretty fun stuff.
Yeah.
Definitely worth it.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll talk about that. We might even talk about the mysterious Area 51 tower that has appeared out of nowhere recently.
Out of nowhere.
/ it's been around for a decade. Anyways, all of that, plenty more. But first, Jody, we do like to ask our guest, what is something that you have been searching on this bean counter day? What's something from your search history that's revealing about who you are?
Well, recently in my search history, so I have a show that I just launched. I don't know if I've been on since I launched the show, but I launched a music show called Summer Album, Winter Album, which I'm very excited about.
Ooh,
I should have you guys on at some point, but the premise is that all albums are either summer albums or winter albums.
Interesting.
Agree. And then we take favorite albums of ours and debate. And so I was chatting with my co-host, who's this guy, Craig Finn, who's the lead singer of the band The Hold Steady and just a fantastic musician, very thoughtful guy. We were chatting yesterday about his new album, and I was trying to get him to classify it as a summer album or winter album. And we were talking about some of the influences, and we were talking about Tom Petty's album, Damn the Torpedoes, which is a great album, and he said was a big influence on his new record. And he like mentioned his favorite Tom Petty song. And I had this moment where I was like, oh, this is great. I'm going to trot out this line that I've had for a while about my favorite Tom Petty song, which is a little more obscure. And it's one of those moments that I like to have where I'm like, well, you know what actually is the best Tom Petty song? It's this one. And I could not conjure it in that moment. I was like, fuck me. Like, not only, I do genuinely like the song, but I won't not remember the name of it
any lower.
Exactly.
Falling.
So in real time, I was trying to like remember what it was. I couldn't, so I didn't throw that anecdote in there. I didn't get my little music nerd moment.
Yeah.
And then I spent the afternoon trying to remember and Google
the name of your favorite Tom Petty song.
The name of my favorite Tom Petty song. I'm pretty sure it has. So literally in my search history, it says like Tom Petty song that has you in the title. Because I'm almost positive it has the word you in it, but none of the ones that came up have the word you. So I feel like an idiot for this.
What about You Don't Know How It Feels? Or that one's just called How It Feels?
No, that's called You Don't Know How It Feels. And that's a great song, but I don't think that's the one. And I just couldn't. I listened to every Tom Petty song that has you in the title. And I was like, maybe this isn't it. And then I'm like, maybe my little anecdote isn't about Tom Petty. Maybe it's some other artist who I like to do this little, like, that's my actually the best song. And I just like tied myself in knots. And then I had a moment where I was like, how wonderful is it that I can still have these moments where like information is just, I can't access it. It's just not there. I can search, I can go online. Like it used to be the case. It used to be the case when you couldn't remember something, you just kind of like, that was it. That was your life. You didn't know that.
It's just such a funny moment to me to be.
Is it because? Do you think it's because Google uses AI now and Google sucks, or you think
I tried AI too?
Yeah, you're like, it's the one that's like.
I looked at every single. Tom Petty doesn't have that many albums, so I looked at every single. I spent a lot of the afternoon doing this. I looked at every single song, and that's where I was like, oh, maybe this little thing of mine isn't about Tom Petty. Maybe it's some other artist. But then I just
something deep inside Jody. Maybe that's what this whole thing's about anyway.
Early onset Alzheimer's.
I have that fear constantly where I just lose words and I'm just like, fuck, here it goes.
It's just like the idea.
But I did love that there was like, there's information out there that I can't actually with the internet, even with the internet, work my way towards. And I've come to be at peace with that. And actually it's kind of lovely.
I love the idea that you're talking about Tom Petty with somebody and then it's kind of like, yeah, man, I love Petty too. You know, my favorite, that's a great one, but the best one? And they're like, yeah, which one?
No, I didn't get to that point. I ran the script in my head before I actually said those words out loud.
Wile E. Coyote out over the Grand Canyon. And you know the one that I really love is, and then just full sweat.
Which one, man? Yeah, go ahead. Let me hear it.
All right, I do need to hear. I do the premise for your new podcast is so good. I do need to hear some examples, and I also want to. I'm specifically a big fan of the Hold Steady album, Separation Sunday.
Yeah, great album.
Is that a winter or a summer album?
Oh, that's interesting. Well, doesn't that start with the song "Constructive Summer"? But Craig has talked on our show about how. With that album, we haven't done that as a proper episode, but he's mentioned that album a few times in that for musicians, sometimes when, if you record an album in the dead of winter, but then you're touring it in the summer. So there's like a lot of different ways in which it could be imprinted on your head. And that's the kind of like thing I love about this show is just like, there are a lot of different ways in which an album could be coded for you as summer or winter. And is it something about your experience or is it something about intrinsic in the album itself? And so we kind of like end up exploring a lot of that stuff. But yeah, it's really fun. It's been very fun to make.
What's the Tupac album? Not All Eyes on Me, but Me Against the World.
Mm-hmm.
No album more clearly evokes a time and place for me than that album. I just was listening to it nonstop in 8th grade in Kentucky, right as school was getting out and I was going into summer. And I can still smell the air of that time when I hear that album. But the album, when you listen to it, is kind of I feel like it's not really a warm weather album based on the music. I've always thought that it's a weird contrast in that. But I love the premise. Great premise for for a podcast. Miles,
if
you
want
have
to
a
come on
favorite
and argue,
summer, winter album?
that's a winter album, I would love that.
Yeah. Summer or winter album. I mean, I love Jay Dilla's Donuts, and I would say that for me is winter, just because just the background of the making of that album is so like sort of emotional and not grim necessarily, but tragic. That and also just I don't know. That album sounds better to me in the cold too.
Yeah,
nice. Yeah,
I feel like Wu-Tang albums are mainly winter albums for me.
Yeah, well, I mean, when we've talked about, we haven't done hip hop album yet, but when we do, we've talked a little bit about it might be a little trickier, especially because it does feel like West Coast. Sunny. It's hard to argue winter, and East Coast, like Illmatic, just there's all these New York albums that feel so dead of winter, but maybe Chicago or Atlanta, like those Outkast albums
feel warm.
Yeah,
they feel warm. Aquemini definitely feel is a summer album. Yeah.
Anyway, so we got to, some albums, I mean, most albums, I think you can sort of impose this lens on, and because a lot of it is about your personal experience, but there's some albums where you're just kind of like, that wouldn't make that interesting of a conversation. Like that's pretty clearly a summer album, or pretty clearly.
Right. Yeah. Album. I feel like most golden era New York hip hop, the aesthetic is I'm seeing your breath as you rap.
Yeah. I'm wearing the Timberlands and the puffy coat, and I'm standing on the board. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Totally. Yeah.
Jody, what's something you think's underrated?
I think ginger chews are underrated. You know about ginger chews?
Mm-hmm. Love ginger chews.
You love a ginger chew?
Good for the tum tum.
In my pocket. I might eat one. It might maybe not great for that. But okay, so I've been obsessed with ginger chews. I've been eating probably like 30 a day. And in part, so I think they're underrated. I think they're on the come up. And in part because I like to keep track of what I call fancy bodega watch, which is like, what are the things that are starting to show up on that one shelf in the fancy bodega in my neighborhood? There's that one cooler and that one shelf by the checkout that are always seem to be rotating, and stuff seems to be coming into fashion and out of fashion. Like the cooler, I would love to do like an oral history of like that one cooler that's seen it all. It's like I lived through the vitamin water days. I lived through the Arizona coconut water days. Now it's Arizona. Oh, the Arizona iced tea.
Yeah.
And now it's like those electrolyte drinks, and the Celsius, had a moment. And then on the shelf, I noticed just like a couple weeks ago, it just felt like they took down, I think it was like all the plantain chips disappeared and the ginger chews moved in. And now
the ginger chew takeover.
The ginger chew takeover. And it worked on me. They're
nice. They're warming. They're good for your stomach. We have them around a lot because my youngest gets a lot of motion sickness, and that's one of the things that we'll give him when he's feeling motion sickness.
Is your consumption more like utilitarian, like it's that it's doing something, or it is enjoyable? Because I feel like every time I've had a ginger chew, it's also been like, oh, this will help your stomach kind of thing, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is great and it's pleasant, but then I don't find myself always being like, hey man, I need another ginger chew.
Well, if they're around, then you just find yourself eating them nonstop, and then you can convince yourself, oh, the reason I don't have a stomach ache,
right,
I ate 19 ginger chews this morning.
But, I'd be fucking so sick right now.
Orange
my guts
one.
Would be on fire if I didn't have my 14 ginger chews in my mouth simultaneously right now.
Lemon flavored ginger chew, so they're making like different varieties.
Yeah, combine them. Got a little citrus ginger get down.
Any other fancy bodega predictions coming our way?
I think the Celsius era is over. So I'll be curious to see what moves in next.
That was just because they were just like, here's a drink that has 250 grams of milligrams of caffeine.
It was Four Loko all over again.
Yeah. So I wonder if that is a trend that will keep on, or if they'll be like, here's a bottle of water and 2 no-dos. Have a blast. What's something you think's overrated?
Well, this one, I'm curious your thoughts on. But my overrated is MAGA. So here's something I've been thinking about. And no, yes, magazines. Here's something I've been thinking about, and I actually would love your thoughts. But on my history podcast this day, we did an episode right before inauguration where we were chatting a little bit about kind of the present moment. And I said then, and I think I kind of feel like I was right. I said then whether I was wondering whether the window between Trump's second election and inauguration was the high watermark for the kind of cultural cachet for Trump world. And purely in a cultural sense, you know, that was when it was like, felt coolest, felt edgiest, like, let's take a chance, let's roll the dice. And a lot of people I know who voted for Trump, like that was kind of the vibe in those last couple of weeks heading into the election. You know, it's just like, well, let's see, you know, this feels cool. Which I think is a big part of how people make political decisions. And I just feel like in the last couple of weeks, maybe for obvious reasons, just the cool factor is gone. It's gone. And, you know, I think a lot of the people I know who were the like anti-left heterodox thinker types who found themselves voting for Trump, or at least flirting with that, like they're kind of horrified by what Musk is doing, and then moreover by what happened to their portfolios over the last few weeks. But, you know, like some guy went on Joe Rogan and like kind of called him out and was like, what's going on here? Like, I'm just seeing like the cracks seem to be forming in a way from a cultural sense. Like, I'm not trying to say that like the real world fallout of MAGA world is not real, but the cool factor seems to be disappearing. And the sort of knockoff to this is I've also been thinking about how like Mark Zuckerberg looks like the biggest doofus in the world. Like that guy, no one has ever bought high more than Mark Zuckerberg, like showing up in that chain and talking about masculine energy, like at the very, very, very peak moment that I feel like the wind started shifting 2 weeks later. I just look back at it and I'm like, oh man, like you're what a dork.
Yeah. I mean, he was like he was getting into UFC, the evolution of Zuck. The thing you got to understand about the evolution of Zuck is the
second he joined the Jits mob, it was over. When he got the jujitsu,
I guess that could have gone
in a couple different directions. I don't know now. Masculinity in crisis, perhaps.
But he'll just switch back. I mean, he'll probably be. And this is a controversial take. I think that billionaire will probably be fine. Yeah, I think he'll. I don't
know. Do you feel like the vibes have shifted? Is this wishful thinking on my part?
I mean, I think just from watching, I think just the last few weeks with the tariffs, I think it's especially been pronounced because a lot of the influencers, especially online, who were like, yeah, man, it's Trump, baby, let's do this. Because right after the election, everyone got their bump in their crypto and stuff, and all these mouthpieces that like the Dave Portnoys and the Aiden Rosses of it all were like, yeah, dude, this is what I'm talking about. And then came reality. And now all these guys are like, what the fuck is going on? And I think that's like sort of the first layer. Then I also think like the Tesla of it all has also brought to the surface like this idea that suddenly now the sort of ideology that was screaming about how dumb electric vehicles are suddenly like caping for them and being like, the Cybertruck's actually really sick. It's just like you see a lot of these like even comedians online and be like, dude, the truck fucking sucks. It looks stupid. Like, why are people even like pretending? So
that right-wing art form comedians, which I feel like that is like now the thing that
no, but like what is I would love to hear what like Theo Von really feels like right now, you know, because that guy clearly I think was just like, oh, this feels cool, all my friends are doing this, let me get on board in the last few weeks and sort of shift. And I wonder if he's just like, what
he's just useful
this idiot. Is not what I signed up for.
I mean,
I feel like a lot of those guys, you know, that Pete Davidson character on SNL who's just like following like the girls like, put this on, he's like, okay, and, okay, you know, just like says okay to whatever people are. I feel like that's him, that's like Rogan in a lot of cases. Like they're just what you put somebody in front of them saying a thing, and they're like, yeah, that's interesting, man. That's interesting. Because I was doing some research.
Well, yeah, I think even with Theo Von, like one of his recent episodes, I saw a clip from it, and they were talking about the tariffs, and he was just kind of like confused. He's like, why would they? Dude, I don't get it. It's like, isn't this like bad? You know what I mean? Like, and before, I think a lot of these people who would just be like, yeah, everything's good, everything's great, this is the way to go. They're kind of falling into this bucket. Like at best, they're like, I think he knows what he's doing, but like, this doesn't make sense to me. And then you have the people who are like, fuck all this. I'm seeing less and less of like the people fully come out, at least from like that manosphere area that got a lot of attention where they're like, you know, this is it. This is the way.
I did have the question heading into this presidency of like, how are these people who are like edgelords, MAGA fans going to continue to be edgelords when Trump is president? Right. Like, how do you just like tune in every day and be like, I think the president's doing a good job. Like, I think he's cool. But like now, like the presidency's going so badly that like, I feel like maybe they can continue to be edgelords because it's like such a counterfactual take to be like, I don't know. I think he's doing a great job. But yeah, the degree to which they have to whiplash, what they support, like on it from day to day, is probably a little bit deflating.
Yeah. I mean, my friend Nicole Hemmer, who's the co-host on my history show and is like a historian, but she really watches right-wing spaces. Bless her heart, she listens to like hours of right-wing talk and sort of watches this stuff every day. And she's like, there are very few, even the like pure uncut MAGA folks, there are very few like defenses of the tariff policy and even the Doge stuff. And it is entirely, do you trust Trump? Like that is the safe haven still left. And I mean, that's pretty powerful, and so it might still work. But even that doesn't feel like Trump's cool, and doesn't it feel great to own the libs? Like that is just seems to have evaporated.
Yeah.
So who knows? I mean, I don't know what that means for coming next, but I don't know if the pendulum swings all the way back to, DEI is cool, but but that's my overrated, I think. Like,
I mean, big MAGAs. You're buying. I'm buying low on MAGA. I think they're going through a rough patch, but
buying the dip, huh?
I'm buying that dip. Hey, could you pass the guac? Because I am buying that dip, brother.
You can buy that dip and load one up. There we go.
Put a ginger chew in there.
Yeah.
All right. Let's take a quick break and we'll come back and talk about JD Vance and his ability to pick up physical objects. We'll be right back. And we're back. And JD Vance, if he had ever watched a football game, might have noted that what he did yesterday was a bit of a fumble rooski on his behalf. But this is, I mean, it was a big moment for him. He's famous Ohio native. His Ohio State Buckeyes won the National Football Championship. And everything came together. He was there to greet them at the White House. And I think I pretty much nailed it, right? I didn't see the video of the actual event, but it seems
we'll pull up the Zapruder film in a moment. But yeah, I mean, what better way for the Ohio State Buckeyes to celebrate their championship than to go meet two dipshits who know nothing about football in Trump and Vance? I'm sure that was great for them. But I think one thing about JD Vance is his near cosmic ability to self-own whenever there are cameras around. And this occasion was no different. So like you'll hear this clip. The Marine Corps band is like squeaking out, "We are the champions." JD Vance attempts to lift the championship trophy and just makes a total fucking it feels like a comedic bit almost how comical this fumble is.
I mean, he is.
Shit, bro. Shit. That's okay. All good.
Like when he first approaches.
And I think another handler comes out to be like, "Hold on, asshole. Don't fucking break this."
When he first approached, can we just go back to the initial approach?
Left, yes. Right here.
Do you have your telestrator here?
Yeah. So right around here. He doesn't seem to know how gravity works at this point, because he's like dragging it across, like he doesn't know to pick it up, that you want to like put your hands on the sides and pull upwards. He's just kind of moving it across.
Boy, how many times did he break grandmother's urn with all her ashes in it? It feels like that. I gotta say, this guy in the tan suit is getting off scot-free because he played a part here.
Yes, well, I will say also the structural integrity of the trophy.
Counterforce.
Hey, we can just call him Barack Obama. Okay, we don't.
Okay, fair
enough. Not on my watch. Would he be allowed to wear a suit like that?
I think the reason too is interesting because a lot of people are like, he broke the trophy, and as much as I'd love to say that, it's not totally accurate because the trophy is like it's made of two pieces. There's this base, and then that's the base, and then the trophy itself, which looks like a gold-plated taki. That's the actual trophy. And because Vance has no idea like about that, he tried lifting like both at the same time. And I think that's where like the player was like, nah, bro, this is the act. Like, just lift the fucking trophy. Like, have you seen any photos of a college team that won this trophy? They're not like they'll hold the base at the presentation, but when they're parading it around, they're usually just holding the fucking gold part. And I think that's what he was like, whoa, what do you? Oh, okay. You want to slide the base off? Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
This is just like a concentrated shot of like everything that was on display in that donut, you know, where he like went in to order donuts, and it was just evident that he had not like ordered anything or interact. Like at first you're like, does he not know what a donut is? And then you're like, does he not know what how to talk to humans?
Yeah.
Who's the least nightmarish of the nightmare blunt rotation in the MAGA world? Do we think? Stephen Miller would be great to get high.
Oh, I would be his.
It would all come out.
He'd be that one friend that like you like to fuck with. That everyone kind of likes to fuck with.
Oh yeah.
He'd be great for that. Yeah.
There was like a kid I remember in high school. We got him high, and he was like his first time. He like hid in the back of my friend's like Pathfinder. And was like, we got to get out of here. And I'm like, out of where? And he heard a helicopter go by. He's like, they're looking for us, man. My dad's going to ground me. I'm like, oh, damn. All right.
And that little boy was
Stephen Miller.
No. My dad, there's no looking back from there. Yeah, I mean, so my good friend Bill Maher actually said Trump is pretty chill to hang with. So I mean, it's speaking of Theo Vaughn, and by the way, this is now a Theo Vaughn recap podcast. But his interview with Trump was hilarious. Like I think Trump would be entertaining to be in the same room with if you weren't, you know, being physically revolted by the fact that he's a racist Nazi.
Well, that's because that's the part that happens when all the time we get like those quotes out of him. Like, I fucking hate that I'm laughing at this piece of shit, but there's just something fucking so goofy about it. I can't help but laugh when he's like, everything's computer, or are you dead?
Everything's computer is on the fucking Mount Rushmore for me. That was so good.
Wow.
Incredible.
Everything.
But yeah, I mean, that's why like he was able, you know, I mean, not to rehash the horrors of the last election, but it's like a lot of these right wing podcast folks, the Rogans and the Theo Vaughns and the Milk Boys and so forth. I mean, I think their politics were moving in MAGA direction, but mostly they had Trump on because like they knew that they could chop it up for 2 hours and not feel super awkward. And then the Democrats were like, how about this person? And it's like, I don't know, this isn't a good hang. So,
right.
Yeah. Well, I think
that's definitely part of the dynamic.
I think that's the easy part about being a Republican right now is you don't have to fake anything. You can just be so out there with your backwards ideas, whereas the Democrats are so like in their heads about triangulating and presenting and evoking the right shibboleths at the right time that like they're not going to come off in the way that they would be open to like talking about cocaine in an interview.
Yeah. Right. And that's, you know, I will say, it's a long ways to go, but that is starting to change. And I mean, it's too little, too late. But and maybe this is the flip side to what I was talking about earlier about the cool coming off of my MAGA a little bit. I do think at least some Democratic channels are starting to realize, like, we just have to be more.
Hey, look,
like I mean, Cory Booker gave that thing and then was on like 6 different podcasts and like Instagram shows afterwards,
Cory Booker,
and just hanging and like
take the Zeitgeist Challenge. Come on and talk about cocaine.
That's right.
Want to win the people back? Open invitation. Right. Any sitting senator, come on. Let's talk about how fucked up you've gotten ever.
Senators who've done cocaine 1 through 50. Let's go.
Yeah, all of them.
Didn't Kamala Harris talk about smoking weed at one point? I feel like she did, but it was like one of the characters.
Yeah, but she did it in a way. She's like, I'm Jamaican. You know what I mean? Right. It was sort of like, okay. like you're saying, of course I smoke weed because I'm Jamaican is like different. You know, again, this is an era where people are like, if I said I've ever done a drug, that's it for me. You know,
right?
Right. Howard Dean for screaming loud.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll talk about the latest trends in eyelashes. We'll be right back. And we're back.
We're back.
Woo. And how are men doing? I've been out of the country for a couple weeks. How are men doing? They figure everything out in America?
It's a weekly check-in, I think, on this show at this point. With how are y'all? How we doing out there, boys?
How we doing, fellas?
Last week there was the Nazi pastor who thought the TSA scanner was a gay beam that somehow would take away his ability to suppress his own sexuality or some shit. Now I'm seeing a trend about guys shaving off their eyelashes because they're too long, they're feminine. They want to look more masculine, and nothing looks more masculine than having no eyelashes, I guess is the logic here.
I love to imagine the battle going on inside these guys where their gay feelings are like they assume that it's being caused by, they're like, every time I go on a plane, start wanting to fuck other men. Like, what? I mean, must be the TSA.
I feel like that's
the TSA machine.
A question that's missing in those conversations. Are like, and it's probably, I don't know. I don't want to do that. It's probably going to make you gay. And I'm like, hold on, let's explore that. So what has been your experience in the machine?
Right.
It goes through you, and then you start going, oh, I liked how that man told me to assume the position in this small booth. And then,
well, I mean, it's the only pat down encounter that
it's the only.
So
right. But it's the only time that another male physically touches their body where they don't immediately respond by punching them in the shoulder.
Come on.
What the fuck was that, bro?
But wait, Jack, is your theory here that the saying that the TSA screening is making me gay is a cover for the gay feelings that are already popping up inside of?
I don't think it's a cover.
Man?
I think it's it's oblivious. Like, they're just like, there's something going on here. Like, that's where, like, they're assuming that everybody is having the same feelings, that those feelings are unnatural and coming from outside of them rather than inside of them.
But it just seems like you would pick something that happens more frequently than a TSA screening. Right? Because if you have those feelings all the time,
something
why would you
like
point
maybe
to the 3 times a year that you fly? Just be like, drive-thrus are making.
He's like,
me
I
gay.
fly a lot. I fly a lot, actually.
Buddy, I am flying quite a bit.
At least 3 times a week I'm flying.
Maybe something that happens more often, like noticing that you have some thick, luscious lashes.
Have you watched some videos? How do you actually trim your eyelashes?
Oh,
you're about to find out.
Dear Jody, it's not great. It's about as simple as you thought it would be. It's just shaving them off with electric clippers. This is like... There's like, at first I was like, is this really a thing? And now I've seen multiple videos of dudes in a barber chair and getting their eyelashes trimmed.
No.
Yeah, but
first of all, great like lashes
music choice.
Guy.
Yeah, I love this music choice.
Oh my God,
that is
close.
Oh
God,
that first one, how it just went right off. Oh my God, I thought I was going to take the fucking eyelid with it.
Can we see a photo of what someone looks like?
So for people who aren't watching the video, there's somebody, like, this is not what I thought was happening. I was assuming it would be scissors and you just do a straight cut.
I just
having the thing that, like, in a movie when somebody gets a bad haircut, it's always this thing and like the slip.
Yeah.
Like right next to your eyeball.
Close your eyes so that your lashes are sort of running down.
Yeah.
And then they take a razor and they go and just cut them way down to like
beard.
Yeah, like the edge of a beard.
What if the guy's like, I like it more to look like eyeliner than eyelash?
Right. Yeah. I just wonder how big of a difference it makes.
I don't know. I mean, like this, the guy in this video, he's got all gone.
Yeah, his eyebrows are gone too. Well, that's been the thing. People have been like sculpting their eyebrows.
I mean, this is
the X-Files music.
Yeah, I mean, it's appropriate, I guess. I mean, the truth is out there. If you have long eyelashes, you are less masculine. Clearly.
I mean, what are they saying about JD Vance? You know, like I don't appreciate that. I don't appreciate the implication there, fellas.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lux, because this motherfucker pulling up like one of Zod's homies, like we've said, with like a beautiful eyeliner, thick ass eyelashes.
So what is the part of the broken online manosphere that this is tapping into?
I mean, it just like.
I think it lends itself to video. It makes for good video. You get to see somebody go from like it's equally. I could see this working as like do the eyelash challenge. You know, it feels so. It makes for great video, and then also they're just bored and don't have that many different things that they can work with. Well, so like, what about this one?
I think we're also just like in this era where people don't really think for themselves. Like I see this all the time, especially on Reddit, like where people are like, how do I know a song is good? Or people like that, like, cause I'm DJing, I'm getting into DJing again. And I see all these like posts where people are like, what's the way to think about music if it's good? And so many people are like, what do you mean? Like, if you like it, that's the benchmark. There's no what's going on? Just honor whatever your feelings are about something rather than looking for like an external definition of it. And I think with stuff like this, for the guys who don't wash their ass because if I touch my ass, I'm fucking like not straight or whatever. It's all like these weird ways to like flatten your identity out and like, okay, I can tick the box. If I do that, oh, thank God I don't have long eyelashes. Oh, thank God I'm not washing my ass. Now I'm a man and now I've achieved manhood. It's like it's just like it's like a simplified way to sort of assert your identity, but like without, being truthful about who you are. I don't know. That's
in my day, we had no fear t-shirts to let everybody know we were straight.
Right.
But now you have to do it via social media clips where you shave your eyelashes off.
Miles, your point about kind of the lack of socialization for like, how do I figure out who I am, and even stuff like this. I mean, there have always been trends, right?
Of course.
But I think that one thing I've been thinking about a lot is how one of the things that's been hollowed out is the whole kind of process by which you have to do a lot of stuff that you actually don't like doing. You have to watch movies that you think suck. Right. You have to like try on a persona that is not for you. And then 2 weeks later, shift it. You have to kind of like make friends who aren't for you and move on. And I think, one of the kind of broken promises of the internet, and I think particularly for men, it's even more dire, but it's this like shortcutting directly to the thing that you will love and will be the core identity. And like, you can't shortcut that, but also you learn, I mean, I'm preaching to the choir here, but you learn a ton by doing stuff that makes you uncomfortable, that isn't for you. Like there used to be a time when like someone would put on a movie and if it sucked, you would just like, you'd have to watch the whole movie. Like you just sit there, and then you talk about why it was bad and why you didn't like it. And that was like formative and whatever. And now it's like, that's that encapsulates it all. Like you can just bail and try something else and just keep searching for the perfect thing.
Yeah. And then ask someone, hey, what's your definition of man? Oh, all right, let me try that out. Oh, okay. Yeah. Like, and to your point, like we're not sifting through the variation that exists in life. That like I always think about. I remember always when I was like, I don't know what I remember telling my dad, I was like, I don't know what I want to fucking do. Like, I don't know if I like this job. And he's like, you have to do shit you don't like to truly understand what you love. That's really like,
that's great advice.
Unless out the gate, it's so clear to you, you have to sift through all these different experiences. And that's how you build up what you actually fucking like, to avoid all these like experiences just to be like, I know I'm not going to like that. He's like, you might. Or you might learn something very specifically about this thing you don't like that maybe you do, and that will completely inform all these other things that you wonder about. And I was like, I don't know. And I feel like, to your point, Jody, like people are just, the appetite for that is less because I think there's so much information out there, and you can go on TikTok or YouTube and Google something like how to be more manly. That's like kind of the shortcut of doing stuff like this. But I think it's also partially too, this is also like, we're like living this era of content. And so a lot of this stuff is going to bubble up, But like, I mean, I would say to these men who think your eyelashes are too long, I have a friend, beautiful eyelashes. He gets constant compliments from like,
oh yeah,
coming up to him to be like, and even like women, I remember like going to bars like, dude, your game is that your eyelashes are so long that people are noticing that. And I'm like, look, it's that easy. Just have your beautiful eyelashes. It's okay. Oh, and the other thing is we need them. That's the other part of this. Evolutionarily speaking, they protect our eyeballs. That's why they're there.
Yeah, I feel like it's got to be a real mindfuck just for people raised on social media to have been thinking of yourself as a brand. Like, it's just there's a abstraction to the way that like people seem to encounter identity now, like that hasn't been true historically. I think it was starting to be true when I was younger, but like it's definitely like I think when I was younger, I always like had this idea of like imagining myself in like a Truman Show situation, even if like it, just like that. I think a lot of people had that. I've like read people and then like there's people who even have that as like a psychosis of like thinking that they're on is called like Truman Show syndrome. But now it's like become true. Like you are the star of your own reality show and like you are constructing an identity that's like basically a brand. And so I feel like that's gotta fuck you up. Like that has to make you be like, so how do I construct the right music around my brand, as opposed to even thinking about yourself as So which thing should I like?
Well, we talked about this too a lot, like Jack, like how when we were kids and like, you know, millennials and Gen X, like we would just steal things from movies or TV. Like you're like, oh, I like this. This is going to be my person. Like I like this character.
Yeah. We would just quote them.
If this aligns with me or whatever. But even then it was up to you to sort of interpret what it was about that character or piece of popular culture that appealed to you. Whereas now it's like it's like the information is like just infinite in terms of like, you're like, oh, I'm into this dude. And then now they have all this content where they talk about like, this is what I do to be a man. This is how I live. This is how I eat. This is all these other things. So it becomes very rigid suddenly. Well, but yeah.
I mean, that gets us something. I think whenever I have these conversations, I always try and remember kind of what is the actual difference now, you know, because people have always gone through phases, right? But there have always been fads and trends, and even those have come pretty fast. You know, you like a goth for a week and then you move on, you know? So that in and of itself, like people trying on different personas and trying to be different and present themselves in different ways to different people, is not that new. I think it's something about a little bit of the speed, you know, by which you can kind of rip through that. Like you don't have to just sit with it, but also I just think the feedback, right? The immediate feedback, so that you're constantly kind of like testing and A/B testing yourself. Whereas, you know, if you're just a high schooler and you see the way someone dresses in a movie and it's 1997 and you try that on, like you kind of got to just, that's got to be your thing for a week, you know, at least. Right. And you're not going to immediately see how people react. And you kind of have to live with it in your own head, which I think is really important.
Or your classmates aren't like posting your outfit and being like, yo, L outfit of the week right here. And you're like, oh, fuck. Yeah, just, that instant feedback is, I think, probably the biggest.
And also the confusion of just like attention with, you know, like getting a lot of like a thing going viral, like shaving your fucking eyelashes off with being like some manner of approval, you know, is probably a little bit different. Like if somebody edged up their eyelashes in high school, I think they would get a lot of attention, but it would be pretty evident that it wasn't necessarily positive. Whereas this, it just feels like easy to confuse like the velocity of like how much attention is pouring in with value that you're getting.
Or it feels like that sort of like pathological thing a lot of us do with like self-criticism. Like you sort of preempt criticism because you're already criticizing yourself. And like if you were working that out like with your mental health and your emotional well-being, you'd probably arrive at a place where it's like, well, do you want to live in a world where all that criticism is flying? Like, wouldn't you rather live in a place where you can just be yourself and that's okay? That would probably sort of stop the ruminating on like, am I fucking up? And I think really embracing that idea that like that is a better world to live in. I think that's sort of like this philosophical Rubicon you have to cross on some level to be like, I don't want to live in a world where I'm so fucking like, what the fuck is this? What are they wearing? What does that mean about me? I'm just like, yeah, do whatever the fuck you want, man. Cause I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want. And I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, all right. Great. So I do have a question based on this story that's very dumb and has nothing to do with the philosophical questions. Do they grow back? And if they do, how they know to grow back?
How do your
eyelashes know to grow back? Because my eyelashes have been the same length. My eyelashes have been the same length for 30 years. How they know? Are my eyelashes falling out and then new ones are growing in?
What happened to you, man? Bro, you shave your beard, right? Are you worried how your beard knows to grow back?
So my beard, if I don't shave my beard, it will keep growing. I will look like Tom Hanks in that By Himself film. But if I haven't shaved my eyelashes in weeks and like it hasn't grown, it hasn't grown. So I'm just wondering that's always been a question I have is, how does, if my leg hair hasn't been shaved for my whole life and it doesn't just keep growing indefinitely, when I do shave it, how my leg hair know to grow then?
Yeah, it's the follicles from what I'm reading.
Damn, smart follicles.
They just know at a certain point. They're like, nah, that's it. We're not that kind of hair. That's over there. If you want to do all that long stuff or tell that to my one weird long eyebrow hair I have.
I feel like this probably doesn't work the way that supposedly your beard and mustache, where it like comes back thicker, Because if it would, I feel like a lot of people would be shaving their eyelashes just to get really thick.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Chalamet has great eyelashes, right? Isn't that one?
Oh, yeah. Chalamet, Zac Efron.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
JD Vance.
Zayn. I mean, fucking Zayn. What are we even talking about here? Robert Pattinson? All right. Jody, it's been wonderful having you on the podcast as always. Where can people find you, follow you, all that good stuff?
Jody, let me see those.
Let me see them lashes. You're hiding them behind.
Oh,
Miles, you have nice lashes, right? You got some thicky. Yeah.
Beautiful. Oh, Jack, stop stunting on it. See, I shouldn't have asked because he's just going to come through with his.
These are fake.
Lovely. Those are lovely.
These are mink.
Jody, where can people find you, follow you, hear you, all that good stuff?
Well, I do a bunch of stuff, but I would encourage people to listen to Summer Album, Winter Album. That's the name of the show. It's called Summer Album, Winter Album. We're doing full episodes every couple weeks, and little stuff in between. But it's been really, really fun to make the show. So,
hell
I'd love
yeah,
people to check it out.
Yeah. Is there a work of media that you've been enjoying?
Well, I am reading a great new book. It's called, what is it called? I'm having one of those Tom Petty moments. It's called Playworld. Do you know about this book? By Adam Ross, I believe is the name. Playworld by Adam Ross. Has a great cover, but also
the novel. What's it?
The inside stuff is good. It's a novel. It's about a sort of
great cover, and the inside stuff is good too.
Yeah.
The best book review I've ever heard.
Yeah, that's be blurbed on the front.
The inside stuff being the content of the book.
Yeah, the words and whatnot. It's about a young boy growing up in New York City in the 1980s, and nice. It's just a great little sort of family story, but also, there's these moments that sort of take you to New York City in that era, which is a treat.
Hell yeah. Miles, where can people find you? Is there work of media you've been enjoying?
Find me everywhere at Miles of Gray. You find Jack and I on the basketball podcast. Miles and Jack got Matt Boosties. Find me on the 90 Day Fiance podcast, 420 Day Fiance. Let's see, a work of media I do enjoy. Yes, this was posted. Give me one moment to summon it. This is from at Shen_the_bird, Shen the Bird. Parenthetical on the phone. Yeah, we were going to rage against the dying of the light later. If you're down, switch his phone to the other ear. You're what? Hold on. Covers phone. This dipshit's going gentle into that good night.
that was on my list too.
Ah, look at us.
Look at us. We're synced again, baby. Yeah. All right. You can find me on Twitter at Jack_O'Brien, on Blue Sky at JackOB1. Work of media I've been enjoying. First of all, Alec Karakatsanis' book, Propaganda, is out yesterday. It came out yesterday. Go to your local bookstore, ask your library to carry it. It's a really good book. We had Alec on a couple weeks ago to talk about it. So go back and check out that episode if you need some convincing, but full of, as he put it, examples, patterns of like institutions we think of as well-meaning, like news outlets, magazines, universities, professors, and nonprofits that are walking us off an authoritarian cliff. And yeah, it's good book, good read, not fun, but just very enlightening. Highly recommend it. I liked a tweet from, in addition to the going quietly into that good night, PJ Evans tweeted, seeing one of my old teachers, are you still obsessed with spelling things correctly?
That's good.
And then 12 Rats at a Keyboard at Panasonic DX45000 tweeted, starting a conspiracy that the Katy Perry who came back from space isn't the same one who went up. You can find us on Twitter at Daily Zeitgeist and on Blue Sky at Daily Zeitgeist. We're at The Daily Zeitgeist on Instagram. We have a Facebook fan page and a website, Daily Zeitgeist. And you can go to the description of this episode, wherever you're listening to it, and you can find the footnotes, which is where we link off to the information that we talked about in today's episode. We also link off to a song that we think you might enjoy. Miles, is there a song that you think people might enjoy?
Yeah. This is just some nice Brazilian music, just to nod your head to, just to give yourself just a nice sonic break from things.
Sounds like a summer song.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of Brazilian. Yeah, I mean, I think some maybe this Stan Getz bossa nova stuff could feel wintry to me. That feels a little bit more cozy with Babel Gilberto. But anyway, this is called Na Boca do Sol, and it's by the artist Arthur Verocai, Verocai. And it's just, again, nice, got a little brass in it, but just nice vibes, Portuguese vibes, Brazilian vibes. Na Boca do Sol, check it out.
Hell yeah. All right. We will link off to that in the footnotes. The Daily Zeitgeist is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows. That's going to do it for us this morning. We're back this afternoon to tell you what is trending, and we will talk to y'all then. Bye.
Bye.